Hello, my friends. Jerry Rosa here in the Rosa String Works Man Cave. I have a video for you today to show you where we're at on the truss and all that. First, I wanted to ask, did anybody take me up and watch the Quaby Sisters yesterday? If you did, make a comment. I really suggest strongly that you check them out if you haven't. I put a link in the video yesterday. That link should still be there today, so check it out if you get a chance. I'm not 25 anymore. I think I figured that out about an hour ago. I was trying to get up into the upper floor of the Waterwheel house by stepping off the wall up into that door. Now that you got to step up about 2.5 feet or something like that to get up to the floor, and I was I was grabbing a hold of, I can't even raise my arm up, grabbing a hold of the door to pull myself up. Well, the hand slipped and I came back down. Well, I have an option of going straight down 8 feet down to the concrete, or going backwards on that rock wall. So I went backwards on the rock wall and sat down really hard right on my rear end, right on top of those rocks, and somehow pulled this shoulder out of joint, and I can barely move it. It's like it hurts. It's like it's out of place. I don't think it's really out of place still, but it feels like it's out of place. Yeah, just not 25 anymore. I was lucky the way I fell, and I landed hard right on my rear end, right on top of those rocks, and didn't really get hurt anywhere else other than my shoulder pulled out of place there when that all slipped. Yeah, it's crazy. Well, here's the video. Here I am complaining about that. I forgot to tell you the follow-up on Sue's, her hip. She went to the doctor up in St. Louis, and she couldn't get any answer back, and finally she got the results of the tests and stuff. It says she has a broken hip, basically. She's got a fracture, I like a hairline crack or something in her hip joint, and they rattle off some other words about that long of problems that she has in her hip, and she's out there still working right now. So you guys are always asking, you better take a day off, or you better relax. She shames me into it, man. I mean, I've never seen anybody work as hard as she works, and it's like she doesn't complain. She just keeps going. Oh my gosh, it's just not easy being me. You just have no idea. Here's the video. Well, here's my first attempt at knocking out one of these pockets, these blind pockets. I just took a saw and sawed out through there. Now keep in mind it's a round blade, so it's not going to saw all the way to the end. So I thought I'd try this and show you what I'm doing on the first one, and I may alter my approach for the rest of them, but that's how I tried the first one. Now I'm going to take a chisel and knock all that out. Well, you can see what it looks like after just probably 45 seconds. It didn't take very long at all to knock that out of there with a chisel. And of course it's round and it goes up, just like the blade. So what I'll do now is get a router and just route the rest of that out and then chisel the corners. Well, it's not a pretty solution either, but I just did that with this deal, and that cut it out of there pretty fast. This is where the router came through, so I haven't cut this side yet, but I could cut this side too with this and clean it up closer. Then I'll just finish it with a chisel. It's not a perfect solution. It's not really a great solution. If you had the exact right router set up, and especially if you had a template, it would be perfect, but I don't have any of that, so this is what I got. So there's what the first one turned out like. It ain't beautiful. It just turned out okay. I'm going to try about the same kind of approach, but maybe alter it a little bit here, and I'll show you what I'm going to do after I get her cut in here.
Yeah, actually, if I had the right blade for this, this would actually be fairly easy, but I just cut all of that out of there in one cut like that, and it cuts it out pretty square. I'll still have to clean it up with a chisel, don't get me wrong, but it ain't bad, it ain't terrible, and it's fairly quick. You know, since I don't have the right router set up, this is probably the best option. Well, there's the result. It's hung. It fit without much trouble. The ends are a little gapped. I don't know exactly why, but they are, and it's not a big deal. It measures right, so it's not a big deal as long as I make the other side match it. And yeah, that was a lot of work. Don't kid yourself. It's just everything about it, because it's also heavy, it's hard to move, and that part there is just the overhang, you understand. This is the edge of the building right here, and it's got an overhang all the way over to here, which is an 18-inch overhang. I was going to do 16-inch, but with these big timbers, it looked like 18-inch just made sense. So I went with 18-inch. It just looked good to me, and the more overhang, the better for the building, because it keeps it out of the weather, since it's an all-wood building. Now on the ends, on the gable ends, it won't be that big of an overhang. I don't think it's possible. Although I might be wrong, it might be possible, but I have a feeling it'll be closer to 16 inches on the ends. But anyway, it's the first one of those eave boards is done. Hopefully in the morning, if I feel like it, I can get that other board hung before the vlog tomorrow afternoon. And then if I can get that hung tomorrow, for sure, this thing's going on the building by tomorrow evening. Once again, I would love to say this was easy, but it wasn't. You can see now I've got this is the eave of the overhang hanging out over the building. The building is back there, and this hangs out 18 inches over the end of the building. This will be the side that faces the pond. So just in case you're confused, the other side faces the road, the driveway, right after you come through the white pillars. Anyway, that's finished. I double checked the distance from that notch to that notch, which is the wall, and I was off by a ½ inch, which I already kind of knew that, so that's why I checked it, and sure enough, it's still off a ½ inch. So I took a ½ inch off here, took a ¼ inch off there. I measured it across there also, and the rest of it should be exactly 10 feet. So this is actually a little bit more than 10 feet on this end, and in the middle, a hair more, but on the other end, it's right at 10 feet exactly. So should work out perfectly. I'm pretty darn happy with that. Glad that's over with. That was a big job. By the way, this one here only took me about 40 minutes to get it installed. I mean, that included cutting all the notches and everything, measuring, cutting the notches, installing it, and making that joint nice and tight up there. So anyway, not a bad amount of time for as much work as that involved. All right, now that I've got the truss finished, I've got to make this beam, or whatever you want to call this thing, this crane, fit a bucket. Now, it probably won't fit that bucket. That bucket's really wide, but I'll have to make it fit the bucket for my grapple bucket or something. Anyway, that's this afternoon's project, or sometime. It might take longer than an afternoon, but once I get that attached to the bucket, then that end there will pick up that big truss and put it up on top of the building, or at least that's my expectation.
I got lots of expectations. I just hope some of them come true. Yeah, and, I said I'm glad that's done, in terms of that truss. Well, guess what? I get to make another one for the other side of the building. So, that's just number one. I've got all the trusses put together already, but, in terms of the individual trusses are built, but now I have to hook them all together and put that overhang on it. And I don't have to do it that way. I could set each individual truss and build it up on the building, but that's a lot harder. It's hard enough to build it in the shop there where it's easy to get to, building it up on the second story of that building, that would not be fun. So that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. And yeah, it's about to kick my tail, though. Kenneth Ennis was the first one to ring in this today, it looks like. Hope you're feeling better. Not really. Thank you, but not really. The old chest thing, can't breathe real good. And it was a good thing we didn't have the lesson last night because the voice was going downhill quickly by the end of the evening. Bruce Hines says, good afternoon. And thank you. Good afternoon. Ronald Todd. Let's see. Lester Cunningham. Jerry, glad you rested last night. Please take care. We love your show. Thank you. Well, I wish I would have rested last night, but that's when I put that first Eve board on was last night. I went ahead and went out there. I feel totally guilty just sitting in the house resting when Sue's out working all the time, just constantly out working. Yeah, it's just nuts. Let's see. Oh, and Lester says his wife passed away a year ago today. Well, I'm very sorry, Lester. Dottie says she's praying for us. Thank you very much, Dottie. Let's see. Bill Mumbo, good Friday evening, everyone. Jerry's coughing better. He's been practicing for days, wishing, well, the coughing thing, it's not too bad at times, and then it catches up to you. Kim Williford, hey everyone, I'm so sorry I missed the lesson last night. I hope it was a good one. Well, you didn't miss it, Kim. We didn't have it. I did put a video out there to say that there would be no lesson. I hope everybody saw that. But anyway, moving on. Let's see. Kim Williford. Okay, thank you, Dottie. I appreciate it. I'm glad I didn't miss it. Okay. Yeah. Get well soon. Well, thank you. Yeah, it's I feel like I'm kind of feel like that lawn tractor right now. I feel like everything just keeps getting a little bit worse. Moving on down, Dottie says she watched the girls, Quaby sisters. Oh my goodness, they're really good. Yeah, they're amazingly good. If you just knew what it takes to do what they're doing, you got 3 instruments playing, and you got 3 people singing, and it sounds like one instrument and one person singing. I mean, they're that in tune to each other. They're that tight to each other. You don't hear any misspoken words. You don't hear any, extra notes. They have their 3 notes being played simultaneously through every song, and it's for a solid hour, and it's exactly perfect. It's just amazing how good they are. It's if you haven't watched them, you need to check it out. It's just crazy good. I seriously can't figure out why talent at that level isn't like just world famous all over the place. It makes no sense to me why that. I mean, they're every bit as good as the Andrews sisters, in my opinion. In fact, I would say significantly more talented, since they're actually playing their instruments on top of singing. The Andrews sisters were great singers, but they weren't really playing their instruments. I don't know. I can't say enough good stuff about them. They're just crazy good. By the way, I'm not taking anything away from the Andrews sisters. They were great, but I'm just saying these gals are every bit that good. David Tharp says, I sound a lot better. Maybe you're just not listening as good. it don't feel better. From this side, it actually feels worse, to be honest with you. It ain't getting no better. David Tharp, the trouble with quotes on the internet is you can never be sure if they are genuine. Abraham Lincoln. Yeah. And Bill's asking if I'm allergic to cedar. We've been talking about that, so I assume that I might be. I'm kind of like my daughter. I'm allergic to a lot of stuff. My daughter's worse than me. She's allergic, you could almost just say, to everything. It's just unbelievable. She takes shots every week, and if she doesn't get shots and stuff, she breaks out in hives and just a mess. It's just a mess. She turns black and blue sometimes. It looks like somebody beat her with a club. It's what it looks like. That's how bad hers is. Fortunately, I'm not that level, but yeah, anyway. Now, the electric, Ranjarog says the electric fuel pump, or is asking about it. That'll be here Tuesday, unfortunately. But on that note, I did do that test last night. I pulled the hose off of the current fuel pump and hit the starter to see if it was pumping fuel. And it at first it didn't, and then it did pump some fuel out, but it looked pretty weak to me, is what it looked like. And I don't think it's keeping up with that 25 horse engine. So I think that's where the problem is. Bill Mumbo, Jerry, make sure JR helps you. No good having Sasquatch living next door and not making use of him. Yeah, that's true. Actually, honestly, it probably seems like you need a lot of help, but assuming, now it's an assumption right now, but assuming the Bobcat can pick that thing up and get it up high enough, one person, I could do it by myself totally. It wouldn't be that hard at all. I mean, it'd be better with two people, and Sue would probably be operating the Bobcat in this case, and I'll be on the building. But that's all you really need, because assuming that it can lift it and put it up there, because it'll carry all the weight. All I got to do is just do this and set it down with the Bobcat and then nail it in place. It's really not that big a job, assuming. Scott Roberts, I listened to the Quaby Sisters concert 3 times yesterday while doing paperwork. Going to listen to it again soon. Yeah, those gals are so crazy good. And there's plenty of other videos of them out there. And there's some more recent ones. I think 2020 is about the most recent one I've found. There might be something out there a little since that. But I had never seen the one when they were little girls. I saw one where the youngest one was like 13 and the oldest one was like 18 or something. And anyway, they were in their backyard playing with that guy that backs them up on the guitar. They've switched their backup several times over the years, but the original guy that was backing them up on the guitar, he was their teacher. I didn't know that either. And I guess his wife was their teacher also. I don't know. There was another gal involved. There was a gal and that guy were their teachers. Well, anyway, I found this video where the girls were teenagers, and it was pretty cool. And even then, they were killer. Already, they were just killer. I couldn't believe how good they were as teenagers. I'm seriously telling you that you are talking about some serious talent there. Yeah, Dottie says they have that family harmony down. Yeah, it's on a total different level. It's, on my very best day, when I think I'm really doing something good, I'm about a 7 on their scale of 10. If that's even giving myself a lot of credit. I'm about a 6 on their scale of 10. I mean, there's so much above where I'm at. It's not even funny. Wavy Gravy. No, wait a minute. I've skipped one. David Tharp. I saw a sign that said, "Watch for children," and I thought, that's a pretty good trade. Watch for children. Pretty good trade. Yep, okay. Wavy Gravy. When I told my wife she should embrace her mistakes, she immediately gave me a big hug. Dan Lindsay, your mower should run with gravity feed auxiliary tank. Yeah, there's just no good way to hook that up. There just isn't. I've looked at it. Ronald Todd, are you wearing a respiratory a respirator? Yeah, I am wearing that when I'm in there as much as I can stand it. I'm a mouth breather on top of everything else because I can never breathe through my nose because of my allergies. And so when you're trying to, wearing those masks and stuff, I just fogs up so fast. I got excuses out the wazoo, okay? But I have gigantic lungs. So when I'm breathing in and out, I'm breathing a lot of air. And it just fogs up your glasses instantly. It's just a pain in the neck. That safety stuff is good stuff. I'm not knocking it. It's just it doesn't hardly work for me. I can put it on in within 10 seconds. My glasses are fogging up, and I can't see what I'm doing. So they're not safe at that point. You know what I mean? It's pitiful. It's just pitiful. Steve Mays, do you ever take Mucinex? Yeah, I've tried that quite a few times. There's not much that helps me, I'll be honest with you, unless I go get the antibiotics. It turns into that green phlegm almost instantly, and that's what I'm coughing up. So if I just don't take anything, it'll eventually clear up. If I wait long enough, it'll be several months. I'm just deciding on whether I want to go get the dang antibiotics and get it over with. It just drives me crazy. I hate it. I hate it like you just don't know how bad I hate it. David Tharp, don't you just hate it when people answer their own questions? I do. Bill Mumbo, the Petersons are really good also. Yeah, the Petersons are great. They're great. But I got to say, I don't know. Am I an expert in this whole field? Not really, but I got my opinions. And the Petersons are great. There's no doubt about it. In fact, they're way better than we are by a long stretch. I give you that for sure. But I don't think they're in the same class as the Quaby sisters. I mean, they're not even, I don't even think they're in, I think the Quaby sisters are way above almost all bands around that I know of. Those gals are tight, man. I'm seriously telling you, they're tight. If you watch their arms, every movement is exactly the same on all three people. It's just amazing. It's just flat amazing. I've never seen three people as tight together as they are playing music. It's just crazy. If you watch it with a critical eye, watching that kind of thing, you'll be blown away how tight they really are. And then compare it to other groups, and you go, yeah, it's a total difference. It's a total difference. Gary Hayden, getting in a little late. Jerry, what kind of polish would be good for a urethane finish? Well, I don't know that I'm the expert on all the different finishes, but I really do like the Renaissance wax on top of anything, really. You can put it on top of anything. Renaissance wax is hard to beat. And it's a paste wax. Takes a little more elbow grease. It's not as bad as most paste waxes, though. A lot of paste waxes, man, you can't hardly get them off. And this one, Renaissance wax is that way too. You don't want to let it dry. Put it on and take it right back off. Just like the movie, wax on, wax off. Put it on and take it right back off. Don't wait 5 minutes. Put it on, take it right off. And buff it and just buff the living tar out of it. And it's great. It's great stuff. Just great stuff. And there's a link to it on my products I use page. You'll have to scroll down to find it, but it's on there. Dottie says, Jerry, are you sure the hanger you have on the Bobcat looks pretty small? Yeah, it's it's not real huge. It'll be fine, I think. Dottie, I raised a 65-foot tall steel tower with that Bobcat and that same hook and same thing. Now that thing only reaches 20-some feet in the air. So how do you think I raised a 65-foot tower with that little tiny crane on the end of my Bobcat? And it was a smaller Bobcat at that time. The Bobcat I have now is much bigger. This Bobcat I have now, it's not the biggest Bobcat, but it's a good sized Bobcat. This thing here will just about do anything you want to do. You can go up to a car, pick it up, and throw it over. I mean, it's that powerful. This is a powerful Bobcat. But that crane, like you said, it's not that heavy, but you notice it's a triangle. First of all, triangles are super strong. You saw that I have different reinforcements on it there. I'm not a structural engineer, but I can pretty much figure out what'll hold what. Well, anyway, on this 65-foot tall tower, since this thing only reaches 22 feet in the air, the way I did that was I put the tower together on the ground. The tower is one of those triangular aerial-like type towers that you see in people's yards that maybe are CB fanatics or whatever you call that. Anyway, so the tower's only about a foot triangle, something like that, but it's 65 feet long. That's 6.5 stories. So, that's pretty big. And so I can only reach up, about a third of the way up on this thing. So how am I going to pick up 2/3 that are out there past? So what I did was I put about 150 pounds extra weight, maybe more than that, I can't remember now, but about 150 pounds extra weight on the bottom of the tower, hooked up as far as I knew I could reach on the tower, started picking it up, and sure enough, the far end slowly came off the ground, and basically it's balancing because of the heavy weight I put on the bottom. That's what held the top up, and I'm driving like this with 65 feet above my head. Sat it in place. So that was a lot bigger job than this. This job here, to me, I look at this like it's just almost like a child's thing. I mean, I really don't. I'm not trying to play it down. It could be very dangerous. It could be very, it could be a problem. But compared to the things I have done in my life, this is really almost nothing. I mean, it really is. And I don't mean to. It probably sounds like I'm trying to brag or something, but that's not it. It's just I'm just telling you the facts of the deal. It's not that big a deal to me. I don't look at this as a big project. I mean, it's a big project and it's taken so much time, but it's not that big a deal in the scheme of things in terms of how hard it is to put this on top of that building. It should be fairly, assuming there's some assumptions there. So if the assumptions go to my favor, it's a piece of cake. Okay, moving on. Let's see here. I don't know where I left off here. Scott Roberts, Bill Mumbo. I interviewed Ellen Haygood, Peterson of the Petersons on my radio program last year. What a great and talented group. Yep, they are really good. They are really good. I like to watch them. I do watch quite a few of their videos. Haven't watched them all, but I've watched quite a few of them. The young gal, the for the longest time, the young mandolin player gal, she was, to me, she seemed like she was the weak link, and she's really coming on now. She's catching up and maybe passing some of them now. She's doing really good. Bill Mumbo, any news of Mark? No, Bill, I tried to, I had good intentions. You know what that is. I forgot. That's the truth of it. I meant to text someone and see if I could find out before today's vlog, and I forgot. It's not like I don't have anything going on, but especially hurting my arm. So that's my excuse. It's sucker sore. I'm seriously telling you. It hurts. Rangerog, a steroid shot might help the congestion and make everything else feel better for a few days. Yeah, they do often give me a steroid with it. Brian O'Grady, Jerry, if you could borrow a telehandler, it might be easier and less risky way. Good luck. Yeah, a telehandler would be great, but I'm out here in the middle of nowhere, and getting one here is 3/4 of the problem. Honestly, by the time I went to town, say to rent one, go to town and come back, I'd already have it set on there. It'll be done. I'll know. Trust me, guys. Before I get into a tight spot, I'll know if it's going to work or not. I mean, if I go over here to my shop and try to pick this thing up, and I'm struggling to pick it up and struggling to move it, well, then there's no point in even trying to put it on the building. But if I go over there and I can just pick it up and move it around, well, then I can walk over there to the building or drive over to the building and set it down. It won't be that big a deal. So it's not like I'm going to get in a tight spot and then regret it. At least I don't think so. I mean, I don't think that'll happen. Yeah, I'll know well before that, So anyway, I don't know how to say it without sounding like a snob or something, but honestly, it's just not my first rodeo on this kind of stuff. And if you grew up the way I did with my dad, you think I do stuff that's risky. You should have seen what he used to do. Holy mackerel. They're just like, what I do is just like this, compared to what he used to do. It was crazy. Just plain nuts. So mine are all calculated risks, and the risk is pretty low, actually. Because, like even when I did that 65-foot tower, that had all kinds of potential for killing somebody. But, I tried to minimize that I already had the guy wires attached to it, and people could be way out on the ends of those guy wires and help hold it still, and that kind of thing. And, you just got to take precautions. It's the only way I can say it. Ronald Todd says, thumbs up, everybody. Thank you. I hope you will. By the way, Brian, I would love to have a telehandler here. I would love to have one. I keep watching these auctions. It's just my typical luck. There's a big auction that's within a couple hours of here. And would you not know that they always have their conclusion on the nights we play live? Like every the last Thursday night of every month, that's when their auctions conclude. And I never get to be there to watch that last few seconds when I could bid and get my whatever it is. Every once in a while something sells for less than I think it's going to sell for. I do put in bids ahead of time, and usually you get outbid on those because somebody will just keep bidding until they outbid you. But there's occasions there where I would probably up my bid, but, I don't want to do that from the very beginning because, I don't know. I'm just rambling, I guess. But there's auctions for equipment that I keep missing out because we're live on the last Thursday night of every month. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe I shouldn't be buying that stuff. Let's see. Moving on down. I should have a mask with air pumped into it, with a filter type thing. That would be better for sure. Gary Hayden, thanks, Jerry. Take care of your health, please. It's I'm trying, I think. I thought I saw a comment about something. One of the guys said that I might have a torn rotator cuff. Maybe he pulled it off. I don't know. That I should have it looked at. And I thought, well, Sue already looked at it. Is that good enough? Anyway, moving on down here. Dottie Hildebrandt, I hate steroids. They make me mean enough to go bear hunting with a switch. I don't feel like they do anything to me. Honestly, I don't. I've said this many times before. In general, medicines don't have any effect on me. The few effects that I have are the ones that make most people sleepy. They wire me wide awake. On the ones that would normally make everybody else wide awake, they tend to make me sleepy. And that's the truth. I'm completely backwards on those things. Like codeine, people just think, well, you can't take codeine, you'll go to fall asleep. It doesn't do anything to me. I don't even know that I took it. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just weird. I've got the weirdest chemistry going on, I think, on the planet. I really do. Steve Mays, I for one would not be too upset if we had to miss a vlog because you went to the doctor. Yeah. Scott Roberts, Jerry, it's called physics. It's all about leverage. Yeah, that's true. And I may get the fooling of my life right here when I pick that truss up. It may be way heavier than I think it is. I'm expecting it to be in the 500-pound range. It might be 600 pounds. Even if it's 600 pounds, I don't think that's too heavy for the Bobcat. 600 pounds ain't that much. It is when you put it out at 22 feet straight out. You can't pick it up like that easy. But the way I've designed that is that the bucket, I can just tilt the bucket like this and leave the bucket on the ground, tilt the bucket like this. Well, that starts to pick up the weight of it, and then I just raise it straight up. You try to pick it almost straight up rather than out like this. You can't do it out like that, or at least not very much weight that way. You have to be smart about it, too. I mean, it's like he says, it's physics. You got to think about what you're doing. And again, I'll know within the first 30 seconds whether it's going to work or not. And if it don't work, well, then I'll have to come up with something else. I'll either have to take part of it apart and put it up in piecemeal. Anything's possible. Yeah. Bill Mumbo, contrary Jerry, everything is opposite. Yeah, it's kind of like that. The doctors, they have a word for it. The doctors do, and they say you have what they call paradoxical reaction. He said that's not real common, but there are a lot of people that have paradoxical reactions. Like, for instance, caffeine makes me sleepy. And I'm not making it up. I'm not just saying it to sound cool or silly or something. It makes me sleepy. If I want to sleep, I have to drink caffeine. I'm not kidding. Like that year that I had Meniere's disease, the doctor said, you need to be off of caffeine. Don't take any caffeine. Don't drink soda. Don't drink, coffee, tea, nothing. Stay off of caffeine while this Meniere's disease is healing, Well, I said, okay, so I did for I don't know, it was 9 months at least. I didn't have any caffeine. But then I started noticing whatever this medicine was that I was on, I didn't really notice it bothering me so much until I started climbing these hills looking for mushrooms. I was out of breath, thought I was going to die, and During this whole time when I'm off of this caffeine, by the way, I didn't sleep. Literally, and I know you're not going to believe this, but I literally never slept more than 2 hours in a row that whole year. That whole time I was off of caffeine. Didn't sleep 2 hours in a row. Barely slept an hour some nights. I mean, I just wasn't sleeping at all. And if I was sleeping, it was just little short cat naps here and there. And so anyway, back to the mushroom story. So I start climbing up this hill. I didn't realize this medicine had this effect on me. I couldn't climb these hills. I was out of breath. Felt like my heart was going to jump out of my body. You know, it was just totally foreign to my norm. I can normally walk these hills faster than anybody I know. Even now, even at age 70, I can walk those hills like nobody else can. And that was totally foreign to me. And I mean, I was stopping, holding on to a tree just to stand up. So I said, well, screw this. That's got to be that medicine. So I quit taking the medicine. And I'm not making this up. The very next day, after quit taking the medicine, my hearing came back. Because I couldn't hear nothing out of that left ear. The hearing came back the next day. And I thought, well, heck with this then. I'm going back to caffeine too. I'm going because I can't sleep. So I drank a Pepsi that night, and I swear to you, I promise you, God is my witness, hand on a Bible, I slept 8 solid hours, didn't wake up one single time. And that was the first time in 8 or 9 months, however long it had been, that I slept. And then the very next night, I think I slept 6 or 7 hours in a row without waking up, which is good for me because I do wake up a lot. But yeah, but if I don't drink caffeine, I don't sleep much. It's crazy. It's just that way. Anyway, let's see here. Yeah. Scott Roberts says, it's all about the angle of the dangle. Yeah, especially with that tower. It for sure was. It really, truly was. And it'll be that way with this weight, at least at first. Like I said, I'll know within 30 seconds if this is going to work easy or if it's going to be something I'm going to have to rethink. It'll only take 30 seconds. And I won't be in any risk during that time. I'll just be going, well, this is picking this up, no problem at all. Or I'll be going, uh-oh, this ain't working. It's just one of those two. There's no options. There's nothing in between, you know. Joe says, you look good today. Well, I thank you. I wish I felt that way. Let's see, what else? Moving on down. Dottie, Jerry, since guess that wood will be at least 1,000 to 1,500. The wood is not dry. I do hope you are right. Well, I already weighed one beam by itself, and I forgot what it weighed now. No, I weighed one. Yeah. No, I weighed one beam. I think it was 80 some pounds. So you figure 160 pounds per truss. Well, there's 3 trusses. So it can't be much more than 600 pounds. I mean, 600 pounds would be way high, I think. Maybe I'm wrong. Let's see. There's 1, 2. There's 1, 2, 3, 6. There's 6 of them times 80. So that's only like 240. 6 of them times 80. What is that? 480 pounds. So I don't know. It can't be that much. It just can't be that much. I'm not good at doing math in my head, but I did figure it out earlier, and I know it can't be that much. If it's 1,000 pounds even, it'll still pick it up, no problem, because that bobcat will pick up well over 2,000 pounds, no problem. But you got to be real careful. If you get that much, I can't do that. If you get that much weight out on the end of that arm, well, that's a totally different thing. If you get the arm standing straight up and pick it straight up, then you're just picking up 2,000 pounds straight up. It's not a problem. You can pick it up like that. Anyway, Scott Roberts says, get the thumbs up, people. Thank you. Brian Biscup, good afternoon. Brian from Elgin, Illinois. Well, good afternoon to you. Bill Mumbo, Jerry, I wake a lot through the night, either bladder calls or mandolin lessons. Yeah, 80 pounds per beam equals 500 pounds. Yeah, that's because there's 6 of them there, so it's like 40 pounds a piece, but there's those 2 cross beams too. So that's why I said maybe 600 pounds tops is what it would be. The cross beams aren't as big and heavy. They're the same size, but they're not as long, so they're not as heavy. So it can't be more than 600 pounds, I don't think. Maybe if it is, and even if it is, I don't think it's a big deal. Scott Roberts, hey guys, McCrae, while you are thinking, why don't you think a roof up on the barn? Oh, Lonesome Dove. Yeah. I thought about trying to put the roof on it while it's still in the shop, but that's just with the kind of roof I want to put on there. That's just a little bit more than I want to try to chew. I think I'm just going to get it up on the building and then worry about the roof. David Tharp, what I mean to say was, honey, when I look at you, time stands still. But what came out was, you've got a face that'll stop an 8-day clock. Yeah, I added the 8-day part. My mom used to say the 8-day clock part of that. She would add the 8-day clock. I don't know where 8-day clock came from. I was thinking of other things the other day that I thought, I wonder if you guys know about. Now all of a sudden I can't think of which ones they were exactly. There's 2 or 3 of them. I'll have to think of them again. I need to write them down and go through a whole bunch of the old country sayings and see if you guys know them, because there's a bunch of them. But right now, it's not. Anytime I need something like that under pressure, I can't. My brain won't call it up. Well, anyway, guys, I think that's going to be it. I'm going to have to go outside and compete with my wife since she's got a broken hip. She's still out there working, and here I am, just got a sore arm, sitting in here trying to relax. We will. I don't know if I'll get any videos out over the weekend or not, the way things are going. I just got to get this project done. It's killing me. Yeah, Scott says, it ain't easy being me. Boy, you, especially married to Sue, you have no idea. Y'all have a good one. Take care.